Well, you hear me talk a lot about some of the wonderful things going on in the Warnell School of Forestry and Natural Resources, and we're talking about experiential learning for students, but there's also a lot of research that's happening related to wildlife. I'm standing around some wildlife today. Oh dear. Let me introduce a dear friend of mine, Dr. Gino D'Angelo.
Good to see you, Nick.
Oh, I'm so glad to be with you today, and so happy that you're getting a chance to see the folks at home, because I want to learn about some of the things that you're studying as a deer biologist in the Warnell School with regards to white-tailed deer. Tell me something. What do you study about these individuals in this pen that we're in right now? What are some questions you're working on right now?
Yeah, well, right here at the Whitehall Deer Research Facility, we've got 6 acres with about 50 deer. And so these deer are a captive audience for us. We can take information here and apply it to our field studies. Right now, we're learning more about how they see the world, so their vision, their eyes are much different than ours. How we can work with their stress levels, how we can collect blood and fecal information to learn about how they're stressed under different scenarios here, and then apply that information to the field.
When you say vision, how do you study their vision? I mean, is it like going, you can't go to the doctor, A or B, A or B? What are you doing to study that?
We do some work like that, actually. These tame deer here that were bottle raised, so they were taken from their mother and raised on a bottle with milk like you would a domestic animal, and so they're willing to work with us. We can bring them into our barn and we can show them different targets, and they choose what they can see under different lighting scenarios, different colorations, and so we learn more about how they perceive the world through those sorts of means. We also can immobilize them chemically, like when you go to the dentist or doctor and they put you under, and we can bring them into a controlled laboratory and expose their visual system to different frequencies of light, and their brain will tell us through brain waves what colors, what movements are more perceptible to them.
That is amazing. Imagine being a student working with Dr. D'Angelo on this kind of work. It's incredible. Doc, I want to go to that barn that you were talking about a second ago. I want to go in there and see the way you're working with these deer in that environment, and I want to bring the folks at home there next, so let's do that. Well, you all know I'm an animal lover, and what you're looking at there is something that'll break your heart. That's a deer stuck indoors. Doc, what do we do about that? How do we help an animal like that in a humane way, and how does this place help you do that?
I'm sure your viewers have seen dart guns, wildlife professionals shooting a dart into an animal, an immobilizing drug which makes that animal go to sleep so that they can help it out of that emergency situation.
Right.
And so we're working with immobilizing drugs here to find new cocktails that reduce the stress of an animal, reduce the pain if they're in an emergency situation like that, to increase the safety for the animal and people. And so this is our captive animal handling facility. And what you see is we're able to move these animals from outside pens. So we've got 6 acres. We need to move these deer to where we can handle them. We bring them into this squeeze chute. We close this guillotine door behind them. The animals in this chute, we direct them up this ramp, and as they move through it, we can close these doors so they're in a safe place. They calm down, it's dark in there, move them up into the next section, close the door. Once they're calm here in this squeeze chute, we can drop out the floor, and that animal's now immobilized. They're squeezed like a hand holding them. And we're able to open this up and give them those immobilizing drugs, so then we can test it and see what is their stress like, how long does it take for them to become immobilized. We release them from this, and they run out into this observation pen where we can see how long does it take them to go to sleep. Do they move in a slow way that's not going to cause them to trip or fall into a creek bed or whatever it may be? Are they going to run across suburban Atlanta and run across a road? And so we're able to see how those drugs most effectively bring that animal down, so then we can remove them from that situation to a safer place to evaluate their health.
Wow, and think about what's going on here at Warnell. This kind of research to help these deer in a humane way and help the public, help first responders, help police officers, DNR, game, wonderful. Gino, I want to end today by talking about potential diseases in deer, maybe the folks at home have heard about. So let's move there next. But what a wonderful facility this is, taking care of these deer. Well, if you do a search for white-tailed deer online, you're probably going to come across the letters CWD, chronic wasting disease. It's a problem in white-tailed deer. And Doc, What is it that we should be worried about with regards to chronic wasting disease?
Yeah, it's a disease we're learning more about every day. In fact, several of our research partnerships work on discovering more about the disease. It was first found in Colorado in 1967 in mule deer, and now we find it in 27 states of the U.S., including our neighboring Alabama. So it's a concern that deer in Georgia might have chronic wasting disease. We haven't seen it yet. Department of Natural Resources is testing deer in Georgia for it. It's an infectious disease caused by a rogue protein, and those proteins migrate to the brain and cause essentially the brain to become like Swiss cheese in the animal. So you see degradation of their body condition. They waste away, they become emaciated, they act uncoordinated, they stop feeding, and eventually they progress to death.
Wow, and I can see this in a deer, in a herd, on my property potentially, and what might I do about that?
Deer that are sick or appear to have died for no other reason should be reported to Department of Natural Resources. But I should say there are a lot of diseases and accidents that occur that cause deer to die and become sick for other reasons, not just chronic wasting disease. But those animals can be tested.
Something to be on the lookout for and to be thinking about when you're doing your searches online and thinking more about white-tailed deer. Doc, thanks so much for today. Gosh, I appreciated this. Had a good time with you. I hope you had a good time at home there as well. You know what to do. Check out online, check out the Ranger Nick Facebook page, check out the Farm Monitor Facebook page and what the guys are up to there. And until next time, for the Farm Monitor, I'm Ranger Nick, reminding you, as I always do, that enthusiasm is contagious. So pass it on. Y'all, thanks so much for watching. We're going to see you right back here again, this time next month. See ya.